Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another outstanding episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. I am your host, that ocean crossing, straight up Boston, flight catching, shot glass snatching. Where's he going next? Nobody knows. Three continents down, three more to go. The worldwide starboy, Remy Blue. But it's not about me. No, you see, we have a special guest tonight. We have a man who is making his name in the Beaver States, Oregon. Yes, love that. I still gotta try that voodoo donut. Hopefully, I get to try it real soon. Heard a
Yeah,
lot of
no
great
doubt.
things about it.
No doubt.
He is patiently waiting to take over the world. Everybody, welcome to the show, the Golden Cobra King Naja. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well, sir. Very well. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on, Remy, and be with you. That was a pretty dope introduction. I like that. I like that a lot. A lot of flair to it, a lot of style to it, and a lot of class, and I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here with you.
Actually, the guy you got to thank is your good friend Charlie Avell, because I remembered when we had him on because he came from Nightmare Factory,
Hmm.
and when we were interviewing him, eventually, I was like, Charlie, who from Oregon should we interview? And he gave us a bunch of names. He gave us the Flaming Aces. He gave
Yeah.
us Amira. Um, he gave us referee Brad. I forgot what his last name was. Brad, I'm
Yep.
sorry. I'll definitely
Yep.
remember it next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Referee Brad Lee.
Bradley. Yeah, we're
Yes,
definitely
sir.
gonna definitely work gonna have him on next week. And he also mentioned your name. I was like, we got a king here? We gotta have the king on, man. Definitely. It would be sad if we didn't. So thank you very much for blessing us with your presence as well.
No, it's truly my pleasure, and I do appreciate Charlie for setting me up, and that's a good thing because he owes me because our last match we had, he busted me upside my head with my own cane. So I get some
Oh,
get back though. But Charlie is one of my absolute favorite partners to work with in the ring because he hits very hard, and I appreciate that. Anybody who can lay it in, that's what I'm all about. So Charlie's my guy. Even if we're
uh,
competing against each other or competing with one another against someone else, Charlie's a good dude. I
oh,
owe him
that's
one.
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us, like, how did like so I would it be safe to say that you're one of the old school guys, like, because I
Yeah.
could tell like the vibe I'm getting. You're kind of like Arn Anderson. You're more about the ring psychology.
Yeah.
You're not about all the pizzazz, which you see. And by all means, wrestling fans, please don't crucify me, don't cancel me. I mean, it's your own, but you're not. You're more about the ring work,
Yeah.
the psychology, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, my approach, Remy, is real simple. And one of the things, my approach to the business has always been a little bit different than some. I don't want to say than most, than some, because I started training in June of 2021 when Oregon Pro Wrestling opened up the school. Myself and Amira were the first two students to come on board. I was the first one to sign up. Amira was the first one in the door. So we've been here since the inception of Oregon Pro Wrestling School. And unlike some, I started later on in my life, in my career in pro wrestling. It was driven by my love for the business. So you're right. Yeah, I'm an old school guy. Arn Anderson. I study a lot of Arn Anderson tape. Jake the Snake Roberts is my primary influence just because his cerebral approach to his matches and everything he does, from his promos to the way he moves in and out of the ring. But being one of the older cats in the territory, my approach is different because I train in pro wrestling because I like the physical contact. I train in pro wrestling because I love the art form that is professional wrestling. I love the camaraderie, obviously. The opportunity to live out a childhood dream, like Shawn Michaels when he was holding the belt in the middle of the ring, a boyhood dream, realized this is one of my dreams. And now being at an age where I have the means, the time, and the support to be able to do it, and the awesome facilities here at Oregon Pro Wrestling School to be able to do that, that's what's driving me. And then when I came here and I made solid connections with my coaches and some of the older veterans who are more old school style type guys. I have nothing against the brothers like Nick Wayne, Cody Chung, who could flip and fly all over the place, Zay Perez and Spencer Scott of the Aces. That's their thing. That's wonderful. My thing is, I can't do that. But what I can do is I could punch you in the mouth on the way down. And that's kind of what I built my reputation on, is a little bit more solid, stiff work.
Yeah, I'm touching 40 this coming May. And even when I
Nice.
was in my 30s, I know I'm an old man, but even when I was in my 30s, I always said that I would never want to do the whole flip flop thing. I mean, back then I had a bit more energy. Back in my 20s,
Sure.
but 20s. But the thing is, I always said if I ever became a wrestler, the one thing I would want to do, I would be concerned with, is body preservation and
Hmm.
ring work preservation. And I'm not knocking those that have the crazy, style.
Sure.
Teach their own. But the thing with me is that I want to be able to do the same thing I did when I first started up until the day I retire.
Yeah.
And a guy who is a good example of that, Kurt Angle.
Hmm.
If you looked at his moveset, there wasn't nothing that he couldn't do when he first started up until the last match he had.
Sure. Good point.
So that was a guy that I always admired. Um, and definitely, if I could model myself, it would be after him. He
Yeah.
was like the good, like, complete package. He had everything. He do every once in a while, but not too much.
Sure.
He knew when to do it. So
Sure.
that would be my main concern, is just being able to have the same move set that I had when I first started
Hmm.
up until I'm ready to retire.
And it's interesting that you brought that point up, brother, because when I made the decision to start wrestling, I counseled people in the wrestling world that I was acquaintances with. I wouldn't say I knew and was friends with, but I knew and was acquaintances and had relationships with. Matt Farmer, the promoter at Defy Wrestling in Seattle, he and I had some really good, because we're about the same age, really good, realistic conversations about what I was getting myself into and what to realistically expect. My birthday is coming in May as well. So I'm not coming up on 40, I'm coming up on 50. I'll be 49 this year
Oh,
in
okay.
May. And one of my main concerns, not only mine, but the concern of my family, even my trainers, is what this sport does to your body. I've been a certified Krav Maga instructor at an expert level for the last 15 years. So falling, getting up, punching, kicking, all that stuff, it comes second nature to me, which is why my style is a little bit more snug than most. And I don't mind getting hot. I don't mind a busted lip. I busted my lip one of the days we were doing strikes here, and I took a picture and made an 8x10 out of it to sell, right? Because it's an okay thing. But as I was talking with folks, um, understanding that, yes, being able to maintain a certain move set or evolve your move set to match your physical aptitude and or limitations, work with the strengths that you have, makes a lot of sense. And I think that's where longevity is found. For me, coming up on my second year of full training, because again, like we said, we started summer of 2021. My body is struggling to keep up. To keep it real with you, struggling to keep up. I've had a separated shoulder. I've had a couple black eyes, busted lips, stuff like that. Multiple concussions, and with football in high school and track and field in high school and self-defense as an adult and pro wrestling, I'm probably in the mid-range double digits, 15 to 20 concussions lifetime. So I know that that's not sustainable for my long-term health. So adjusting my training, I can't really adjust training, adjusting the way I go about setting up my matches, to be smart about it. Do I want to, run and dive off the turnbuckle over somebody and get a that was awesome chant? Absolutely. But I think if I could lay out a spine buster the right way, then I could get an equally as emotive pop from the audience. So it's all about balance, right? I mean, a reason why I'm not training now is not just because I'm here on your podcast, but I'm taking some time off to rehab my knee. My knee has been giving me trouble. So it's really about understanding what our bodies are able to do at this phase of life. And the younger cats that can go at it and go 100%, like Amira, I mean, bless her heart, she's doing more with the amount of time she's been given than anybody I've seen in this business so far as directly. I'm sure there's other great examples. But yeah, man, it's all about working within a move set that's sustainable and a style that comes natural. We've had several seminars here at the school. Davey Richards was one of the seminars that comes to mind. and Big Ugly from Northern Cal, and they both mentioned find a move set that you're comfortable with as your base, so that way you're able to do it flawlessly, and then you can add other stuff to it. So like I'm a Krav guy, so getting down dirty fighting is my base, but I can add in a certain other things about wrestling and different techniques that could improve and be a complement to that ring style. And flipping and flying is not one of them. Not
Yeah,
for me.
to each their own. Like for me,
Yep.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would do it every once in a while, but I wouldn't do it too much. Like I'd just be too afraid. I'm more of a ground guy.
There you
I
go.
need more of a
Yep.
ground guy. Like I said, like Kurt Angle, just more
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, my theory is always, I'm trying to win the match as quickly as I can, and I'm going to win the match by either submission or a pin or a knockout. And I don't need you flying in the air to do that. I need your butt on the canvas for that to happen. So the quicker I can get you down on the canvas, the quicker I can get that 1, 2, 3, get the pay window, and I'm gone.
Awesome. So I gotta ask you, man. So what was the match or the event that got made you become a fan of professional wrestling?
Um, it was leading up to, and I was a fan. My oldest brother. I'm one out of 10 kids, right? So when you got that many folks running around the house, you're gonna get into some stuff. And my older brother was a big wrestling fan, and he and I would watch wrestling back in the '80s with my grandmother. We'd have a lot of fun doing that. But I remember the lead up. I want to say it was to WrestleMania 3. Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage and the storytelling that went behind that. That is really what got me intrigued. That was the Hogan Andre Slam and all that stuff too, but it was something about that match of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage that really got me hooked. Seeing Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, and all those guys, and then really discovering the NWA, discovering WCW a little bit later down the line, got into a lot of the character work. But if I would lay it out, it would probably be that one, not necessarily that match, but the lead up to that WrestleMania match, all the storytelling on Saturday Night Main Event that led to that WrestleMania 3 match with those two guys is what got me in.
That WrestleMania 3, the whole card was a great card.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed seeing Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage, Hogan and
Yeah.
Andre. Even had one of my favorites, Road Dogs Santana versus the Hart Foundation,
Yep.
uh, where you had the first ever heel referee, Dangerous Danny Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for those of you hardcore wrestling heads, not the Danny Davis at W. This is another Danny Davis.
Right.
But yeah, that was another great match as well. You had I've never forget Junkyard Dog and Harley Race.
Yes.
That was a fun match as well too.
Yeah. I mean, and seeing, and I'm glad you brought up JYD because seeing his interaction with the kids and the fans, him and Coco Beware, I really enjoyed watching the entertainment value, right? So I approached it from several different perspectives because we know that this art form that we love so much is multifaceted, right? Like a diamond. There's so many different angles to it and so many different pieces of beauty to it. But from the entertainment side, right? JYD and Coco Beware getting people to dance, getting people to move and have fun. That was great. The same thing with the Bushwhackers, right? Because to me, pro wrestling then, now, and even in the future is always going to be like a buffet, right? You pick and choose what you want. Certain fans are going to gravitate to certain things. Certain things are going to appeal to certain people, right? Now there's a lot of really awesome women's matches, right? There's intergender matches, there's hardcore matches. You won't catch me in a hardcore match. If it turns hardcore, it's because somebody got snug and we got real, and we start to shoot on each other, and that's okay too. But if there's so many different things, lucha style, shoot style, where you actually have shoot wrestlers that are in there actually doing legitimate wrestling holds and mixing that in with the entertainment piece, I think is probably one of the most enticing things that I love and started to love now that you mentioned JYD from back in the day. And of course, there's the theatrics, right? The storytelling, Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, Jake the Snake against Ravishing Rick Rude when Ravishing Rick Rude was going after Jake's wife, and they got realistic and things. And then of
Yeah.
course you got Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin, so it can go really, real, really bad, right? You could always mix in all that fun stuff.
Funny thing is, I had a dream I was actually in that same living room when that Stone Cold that thing with Stone Cold and Brian happened. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good, man.
That was I mean those are fun times, man.
Hmm.
Definitely fun times. So yeah, so I gotta say kudos on on you following your dream, not letting anybody tell you, oh, you're too old, you're not too old, but
No, you're
you
right.
can't at that age and whatnot, and that's actually a bit of an inspiration. I just go to show that you shouldn't let nobody tell you, you shouldn't do things on anybody's time, do it on your own time.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you gotta do by this time or whatnot. I mean, especially given the fact where you just had Nature Boy Ric Flair, 73 years old, having his last match. And then
yep.
there's a guy by the name of I might be wrong, um, Mike Jackson,
Exactly. I
who
was going to mention Mike Jackson, who just wrestled on Impact, and I think
yeah,
Mike Jackson is older than Ric Flair, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much an inspiration right there. If you
hmm,
still go, you still go. You're never
yeah,
too old to get up. You're never too old to get signed. You're never too old to start. You never know.
yeah, and
Um,
it's also, man, keeping it in a realistic context, right? We had D'Lo Brown here for one of the seminars, and I was talking to him, and this was early on in the training. And one of my biggest hangups was, my age. Do I go with the mask, right? Do I need to shave the beard and stuff like that? And I talked to D'Lo, and D'Lo said something really profound. Just he and I. He asked me how old it was, and I told him. He says, "Okay, cool. So you got a family, you got a career, you're pretty much set, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "So why are you doing this?" I said, "I'm doing it because I love it." He says, "Good. Go have fun, and everything else will fall into place." Right? And my approach has been, I'm going to have as much fun on this ride as I can, as long as I can, and being realistic, understanding that my trajectory path might not be signing to a major, right? Um, should it happen, of course, I'd love to entertain that, but I'm not. That's not my path. My path is to make the most out of every day I get a chance to be in this building and in this ring, talking to people like you, talking to promoters, talking to fans, talking to vets that have been around, that have been. I've been so blessed throughout these last few years just to kind of to drive talent and be able to pick guys' brains, from Jonathan Gresham to Jacob Fatu to Swerve Strickland to Viva Van. I mean, wonderful people who are willing to give of themselves. I mean, I even had the opportunity to be in a car with Mark and Jay Briscoe, right? You can't buy that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Those experiences. I take all of those, man, and I roll it all into the pot, and it's made this one of the most exciting times outside of my family, one of the most exciting times in my life, man. And I'm digging it. And really, the catalyst for chasing after this dream as hard as I have, it was a conversation that I had in May of 2019 with Booker T, right? Starcast 2 in Las Vegas. Right after All Elite Wrestling was launched, they were getting ready to do their Double or Nothing, right? Their double, no, was it All In? The Double or Nothing, because All In was in Chicago and All In was in Chicago. The Double or Nothing in Vegas, the one where Moxley debuted. And I had some time to speak to Mark Henry. I mean, guys that I looked up to. Had some time to speak to Mark Henry. Had some time to speak to Ron Simmons. But the time that I had speaking, I spoke to a lot of guys, but the time that I had to speak with Booker T was probably the most profound time. And he asked me, was I working? I said, no, I always wanted to work. And, there's no schools around at the time. And he says, if you want it bad enough, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's just what you're willing to do to chase after it. Right. And then, everything fell into place. Ricky decided to open up this school here in Oregon, and it was all a dream come true after that. But it was because of Booker T's encouragement. He says, you're not getting any younger day by waiting, so you might as well start now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool that Ricky Gibson he actually opened that school. I remembered the first time I saw him, he was actually in the WCWC. I don't know if they
Hmm.
reopened yet or not.
No, no.
I saw him on there, and then I remembered I was like, wow, he just had an energy about him,
Hmm.
like whenever he go to the ring, and then next thing you know, he's teaming with Eddie Pearl. Eddie Pearl as his tag team partner, and now they're like the Heat. Well, there were 4 minutes of Heat, and now they're called the Midnight Heat,
Correct.
doing great and everything. And now he's not only one half of the UWN Tag Team Champions, but he also has this school. That's a great thing that he's doing for y'all. Because I always say like the West Coast, y'all got a lot of hidden talents.
Yeah.
not a lot of people show to me, and Gabe Sapolsky brought this up. You know, it's like y'all are out there, but just people don't bother to check on y'all. You
Hmm.
know, that's what he didn't say that exact wording, but it's like
Sure.
pretty much the West Coast doesn't get a lot of love. And then
Yeah.
when I look first, I'm like, you're right. There's so many. Like, I found out when I found out about Hammerstone, it was a
Hmm.
WCWC. When I found out about Darren Corbin, the WCWC, Ricky
Yep.
Gibson, Eddie Pearl, his brother Billy Pearl,
Yep.
and I'm like, why are these people not getting showcased more?
Right.
So I was like, okay. And this is where I hit up Charlie. I was like, well, now my work hours, I get in around 10:30 earliest. So
Hmm.
I'm like, it's time we show the West Coast some love. They're 3 hours behind us for the most part. Let's have them on here and, see what their story is and so on. We've had several great people. Amira, um,
Hmm.
she's one tough one. Amira, the Flaming Aces. Um, over in LA, we had Lara Frazier, Zoe
Oh,
Dubois,
nice.
uh,
Excellent.
several great people. So that's great that and I hope y'all get more exposure and so on. I
Yeah.
don't know. I know what's going on with WCWC. I know they have a return, but I wouldn't mind seeing another promotion pop up. Hopefully, Oregon Pro Wrestling, which
Yeah.
we're thinking y'all start doing weekly episodic shows. I'll definitely tune in for
Yeah, yeah, it is a hotbed. The West Coast is a hotbed for some amazing wrestling everywhere from, I mean, if you go all the way up into Canada, right, WrestleCore and New, and there's so many different Vancouver Island Pro Wrestling. Uh, uh, there's so many amazing promotions from Canada all the way down to Mexico, right? I mean, up and down the West Coast. Obviously, Defy and Timber Pro Wrestling, and Without a Cause up in Seattle that works its way down. Here in Portland, there's of course DOA Pro Wrestling, which is I think they're going on their 15th year. I've had the opportunity to work with DOA several times, and PAL Pro Wrestling down in Eugene. So there's a myriad of amazing promotions and opportunities for wrestlers to work here. I mean, going down into California, you can go all the way. There's promotions in Northern Cal. I know Amira's heading down. She's over there grinding in the mat room right in the ring room right now. She's going to be going down to work in Northern Cal. And there's Southern California. I'm sure there's something in San Diego. There's got to be some lucha stuff in San Diego, being that close to TJ, right? So just great opportunities for talent if you're willing to leave the area, and that's just here. Not even talking about Arizona, not even talking about Vegas, right? There's opportunities in Vegas as well. Colorado,
that.
there's just places here out there that are west of the Colorado Rockies that are just like you said, getting slept on, and it's okay. You know, it's time and opportunity, right? The more stars that come out of these awesome schools and these awesome independent promotions, the more people will start to realize. I mean, I know Texas has a lot of good stuff going on there. There's stuff, of course, in Florida's a hotbed, and up in the Northeast. So there's great opportunities out here. If you want to train, there's great schools on the West Coast to go to, no matter where you live geographically on the West Coast. And if you want to work for a promotion, there's solid promotions out here for people to get good, solid reps.
Awesome. I've seen stuff from DOA Pro. DOA
Hmm.
is doing a lot of great things. I know there's Championship Wrestling from Arizona. I know there's
Hmm.
Rocky Mountain Gold
Hmm.
over in Colorado. Um, yeah, it's just some and that's the kind of person I am. Like I've always wanted to like see what's out there, and I
Yeah.
encourage friends. I'm like, if you're on the East Coast, check out what's on the West Coast.
Hmm.
If you're on the West Coast, check out what's on the East Coast. Don't wait until they get to AEW,
Yeah.
or the big time to see who they are. Find them now. There's
Yeah.
so many resources. There's YouTube, there's Fight TV, there's IWTV,
Hmm.
there's
Yeah, there's an amazing if you're a wrestling fan, there's no reason why you can't find wrestling somewhere to consume. I mean, Pluto TV has its own pro wrestling channel. They have a Defy runs shows on Pluto TV, and Impact I think even has a channel still on Pluto TV. So there's a lot of opportunities, man, to be able to consume wrestling, a lot. And that's only here stateside. I mean, you can go over to there's the Fale Dojo in New Zealand, right? There's some of our guys have been to Derek Shaw, number one, and a couple guys that are heading out there soon. there's really good opportunity wherever you are to follow and consume some amazing wrestling. And like you said, it's before they make it, to the worldwide stage.
Actually, if I may, if you don't mind, I gotta say huge congratulations to Serza, one of our alumni guests. He was on our season 3, I believe.
Hmm.
Just made the news that just announced it. I think last week he announced it that he's gonna be heading down there as well to train. I'm very happy. He's based out of I think it's NorCal,
Okay.
so we got that
Sweet.
opportunity.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
hopefully get the opportunity too. I mean, I always tell people like, I always hope that if wrestlers don't get signed by WWE or AEW or Impact,
Hmm.
hopefully, I was stationed with the Navy in Japan for 3 years.
Hmm.
It was beautiful. I tell any wrestler, if you get booked over there, take it with a smile and go and embrace it. It will be a memorable experience.
Oh, dude, there's so many again opportunities, especially internationally. I know Danica Della Rouge spent some time over in South Korea. Jordan Oasis, another local wrestler out of Seattle, but now he's in Vegas, wrestling out of Future Stars of Wrestling, right? Training there. Jordan went over and wrestled in South Korea. Rebel Kell, a good friend of mine from Seattle, wrestled in Stardom, right? So there's opportunities. I think being in a wrestling hotbed is good, but I think to your point, getting out and experiencing different number one, experiencing different cultures is an amazing thing to make you a well-rounded human being, right? And experience life better, different cultures, different cities, different foods, different people, different traditions. But then if you find a common love in the sport of wrestling, the art form of wrestling, and to utilize that, it can take you all these different places, right? So I think that's good. That's really awesome.
Yeah. It's all yeah, it definitely is. Like I thought I saw everything, but then when I went to Japan, I was like, wow, like y'all definitely showed me that I've never seen everything.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I haven't seen everything. So yeah, it's always a great thing when I see people get those opportunities and so on. And didn't know there was any wrestling in South Korea, but that's good to know.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. I can't remember the name of the promotion right now, but oh, it's on the tip of my tongue too. Too many concussions, but yeah, man, amazing wrestlers, amazing work, great promotions all over the world. And to be a wrestling fan now is not the way it used to be. In the '80s, it was cool. In the '90s, it was kind of cool, and then it got a little bit weird for some time there, and it wasn't in vogue to be a wrestling fan. And now it's like, man, I have friends that I went to high school with that'll send me messages because I'll post stuff on my wrestling social media on Instagram, and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were doing that. That's really cool. You should post more matches or clips, or how can I support? Right? How can I buy merch?" And it's really cool that there's more people that are into it and probably want to do it and haven't even number either one have been given the opportunity, have the resources, or have a facility like this to be able to do it at. Right? It's
Right.
good stuff. Hope there. It
Yeah.
sounds like they're running ropes over there. Hopefully, that's not too distracted in the background.
Nah, it's fine. Hey,
Okay.
I actually like that because it gives like the realness of like
Yeah. Yeah.
what a wrestling podcast, like Ringside Society, so interesting. Like you can hear the ring ropes, being ran in the
Oh yeah.
background.
Yeah.
It's all good. Actually, hey, I commend what y'all do, man. Like y'all go through a lot, so that's why I'm always like appreciative and and
Appreciate
our
that.
is like we don't care if you make it to the big time or not. We don't care where your career goes. The fact that you go into that ring and you put on a show, the fact that you go into that ring and you risk your physical health and your mental health. You don't know if
Yeah.
you're gonna come back out of that ring in one piece or if you're gonna come out limping, if you're gonna come out a paraplegic. And yes, that has happened.
Mhm.
I know I'm just a fan, but I've seen and heard of
There's a
instances.
there's a mirror right there.
Hey, Amira, great to
He
see you
said,
again.
"Hey." He said, "It's good to see you." Oh my God. My girl, she's over there killing it. Yeah.
But the
But
fact,
yeah, no, no, I hear you. I hear you. We do things to our bodies that most people would not understand or volunteer to do, and we do it. I know she does it at least 4 times a week, if not more, and that's just training, right? Then that's what dedication does, right? You decide you want to do it. You chase after that dream, no matter how hard your body hurts after, how hard it is to get up out of the bed the next day. whatever it is, if that's your dream and your trajectory, you go after it, and there will be opportunities, man. That's what I'm saying. There will be opportunities, and she is living proof of that fact right there.
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, we don't we interview everybody. We don't care.
Hmm.
You one that really put on a show for us. We want to hear from you. I had
Yeah,
one woman the other day. Um, she was like, "Oh, but I only have one match." Okay, let's talk about that one match. That's one match.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
can. We are so good. We can find several questions to hit off of that one match. And she's like,
Hmm.
"I don't know." And I said, "Hey, okay, listen." And I challenge you to answer this question. We had a second generation wrestler. I'm not gonna call names, because I don't want
Hmm.
nobody to, get offended easily or not. It was nothing bad either. We had a second generation wrestler, right? And he only had one match under his belt.
Hmm.
He only had one match under his belt. And we interviewed him. Why can't we interview you? You
Right.
take away his lineage, you take away the blood fact that his parents, one of his parents was a pro wrestler. You take that away. What makes you different from him?
Right.
You're doing the same thing. And she's like,
Absolutely.
yes. She's like, awesome. Yes, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Good. Real good. And everybody has a story to tell, right? Everybody's reason, everybody's why they started and why they keep going, right? And that's the stuff. That's the stuff in humanity that I vibe off of. What makes people tick, right? What makes people act the way they react. I have a degree in psychology, and I've always been into the people's whys, right? There's a reason why you elected to create this podcast. There's a reason why you ask the questions you ask, and there's a reason why your fans tune in to hear stories like this, right? That's the beauty of it all, in my opinion.
Right. Definitely. So I gotta ask you, man. So you said Jake
Sure.
the Snake was one of your
Mhm.
favorites, favorite pro wrestlers. Definitely one of the best to do it with ringside, would do it not with ring psychology, um, as well as being in the ring and everything. Is that where the Golden Cobra came from?
So yeah, technically. So when I decided that I wanted to start training, my little brother John and I were sitting talking about what cool wrestling names would be, right? And we were kind of leaning at the time. This was before Mandalorian and stuff, big Star Wars guy. So Boba Fett's my guy. Boba Fett and Lando are both my guys, right? So that's the duality of my natural personality, right? Suave, smooth hustler, and a bounty hunter that'll knock your head off. You're going to get one or the other. Um, so we were talking about different names, and as I got closer, I started thinking about my influence. Again, the influence being Jake, and I started okay. I started just googling different terms, names for snakes, and I've had snakes before. I have a snake now. He's just a baby, an albino ball python banana. He's adorable. He's a little fat guy, about 2.5 feet long. His name is Goldie. But anyway, the word Naja means cobra. So if you Google the word Naja, it means cobra. It's the scientific classification for the cobra. The true cobras, right? So there's a lot of symbolism in that. The golden cobra, because my first gear was gold and black. So the golden cobra is a little bit of a double entendre. Also, I'll let the fans meditate on that one. But depending on the day, because like I said, wrestling is multifaceted like a diamond, right? So depending on the day, no matter what you do for your job, your vocation, they're going to get a version of you, right? It might be the cool laid back version. It might be a little bit more aggressive version. You might be, stoic and not in the mood that day, right? So I think because our personalities are built with all these different facets, my approach every match, every job is going to call for a different thing. Every promotion might want something a little different, right? She might put a little tweak as we're trying to discover and reinvent, like Jericho's done so well over the years, who we are, but staying true to our core, but putting different little nuances. So the name I came up with was King Naja, right? Well, why King? One of the ring announcers had asked me that, and he says, if you can't explain it to me in about 20 to 30 seconds, it's going to be hard for the fans to understand. I go, okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? If you have to put a huge grand backstory to it when somebody's completely ignorant to who you are and what you're all about, it becomes difficult. So the Golden Cobra is a little bit more the professional, the laid back, the personality here. There's no threat to me at this point because we're not in the ring together, right? Another nickname that I've been called is the right hand, right? Because I work with Caden Cassidy. Caden Cassidy is the big boss. I'm his right hand. I execute his orders, his muscle. The picture that I sent you is a representation of that character with the leather trench coat and the gloves and the cobra cane that can be used as a weapon if necessary. Um, the mercenary is another character of which a different approach. It's not necessarily hired to take care of business, but it's just go in there and fight. My ring attire is a little bit different, and when I worked down in Pal Pro Wrestling in a tag team with Dr. Cleaver, he hired me in as his mercenary. So that's my approach. So it's a little bit of a twist on it. Not so much the professional, like the right hand, not so carefree and fun loving like the Golden Cobra, because, gold is light, it's bright. Everything else is a little bit darker. So again, it's just the different dualities of the personality and what you're going to get that day, depending on what's required of that job or of that match or of that story that's being crafted by the promoter.
Awesome. That's a great story, man. It's definitely deep. I like how you came out with that too.
Yeah.
That's real
Oh,
cool.
and the king piece, just to sorry to cut you off, but the king piece is we're all kings and queens, and we should be regarded as such. We should carry ourselves as such, regardless of the business we're in. My wife and I took a trip back in 2019 to Ghana, Africa, the year of the return of the diaspora, right? And it was a bit of a spiritual awakening that happened there, walking on ground that slaves walked on, and walking through the door of no return, where slaves would actually walk through the water, get on slave ships, and never come back to their homeland again. So that really changed and crafted my overall individual view and my worldview. So I had to bring that into my character as well. So the name King Naja technically means King Cobra, but it means King of the Cobras, meaning that I'll be able to lead and others can follow in my example.
Oh, that's deep, man. That's definitely deep. And that's cool that you got to go to Ghana. Ghana is actually one of my destinations I want to go to. I'm always because I'm from Guyana, which is in South
Okay.
America.
Hmm.
But people are like, "Are you from Ghana?" I'm like, no, totally different continent.
Right.
Guyana's in South America. They're like, I never heard about it. And then I have to be like, and I have to give like a heavy sigh, like,
Right.
because do you remember Jim Jones? The
Hmm.
Jones? Yeah, that's what happened. Like, wow.
Right.
Um, that's how I used to have to mention it, but now, of
Hmm.
course, I just mention, hey, do you know Black Panther? The new Black Panther, Shuri? Yeah, that's where she's from.
There you go.
So yeah, but that's cool that you actually got to check out Ghana and whatnot. Um, definitely a great place I've heard, and I hope I
Hmm.
get the as well too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and being there, like I said, it changed a lot about me and my wife and our relationship. And we came back and actually did our African ancestry, and it turns out her paternal ancestry comes from Nigeria, which is a close neighboring country, and my paternal ancestry led back to Ghana. So that's why I took that ownership, right? Because if my blood comes from there, then you can't tell me that I'm not of a royal lineage. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to use that and I'm going to own that. And that's going to drive me all the way throughout the rest of my life. The way I carry myself, the way I treat others, the way I raise my family, and the way I treat my brothers and sisters. So,
That's awesome, man. That's cool. That's a great thing, man. I definitely gotta
yeah.
take a trip to Africa and just to see like how my ancestry was and so on, because there's a lot of like hidden history there that I don't know about.
Mhm.
I'd like to know about this soon, so
Yeah,
it's definitely on the to do list, so to speak.
for sure. For sure.
So um I take it since you found out about Ghana, that Ghana's in your ancestry. I take it that Kofi Kingston, who's actually from Ghana, him, the way he has progressed, would it be safe to say that, you know, you have like felt a way like proud to like say, hey, this is my Ghanaian brother. He's in WWE doing this,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know.
In
the
all
name.
honesty, yeah, in all honesty, Kofi's progression and Kofi's journey over the years has been inspirational, not just to me, but to a lot of people. Having the common Ghanaian lineage is one thing, but understanding that professional wrestling is an art form and a sport that should transcend several different social norms and doesn't always do so. As a matter of fact, when I was coming into class today, I was watching a couple clips, and one of them was, I think it was, I can't remember what year. It was after WCW folded, and Triple H had the big gold belt, and he was with Ric Flair, and he was just running down Booker T, and he was saying, and the heading on the video said stuff like this wouldn't fly today, and he was running them down saying people like you, referring to Booker T, and it was full of assumptions. People like you don't deserve opportunities like this. And I remember when I was watching that, Kofi Kingston saying and feeling some of the same things during Kofi Mania a few years ago, right? So it's funny that you brought Kofi up with the Ghanaian connection, but it also made me think about that. And I'm proud to say that there have been more champions of color, African Americans, Native Americans in different regards, right? Um, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders. I mean, there's so many uh, beautiful examples of athletic greatness that, and I mean, I'm not crapping on any of the white brothers that have held the titles as well, right? Because like I said, Jake has always been one of my prime examples, but I take a lot of pride in knowing that this is a sport that is working to be all inclusive across the board, from the talent, right, that performs in the ring, to the fans. And the most important thing is that people feel comfortable and can see representation, right? They can see representation. Because, like you said in the beginning, man, JYD, Coco Beware, right? There wasn't a lot of brothers. I mean, if you can go back even further than that, when we were super young, or probably even before my time, but other wrestlers who were trailblazers, and I would put Kofi in that lineage as well as a trailblazer. He showed there's some little boys right now that are coming up. Matter of fact, my pastor's grandson just turned 18 the other day, and he was telling his mom that when he can, he wants to train to be a pro wrestler with Uncle Mark. So I'll be bringing him here to Oregon Pro Wrestling School. And maybe when my time is done, I could bring him out, in a manager capacity or something like that. But there's, because of what Kofi was able to do and what WWE had the forethought to do, and listen to the fans and go with Kofi Mania. There's a whole new generation. It's the same way with the young girls who are getting into it now, because now it's an expression of athletic prowess versus things just like novelty thing, bra and panties matches and stuff like that. So anybody, if you're an athlete and you have the work and the hustle, Kofi has shown it's possible. Cats like Booker T, Mark Henry have shown it's possible. Ron Simmons in the WCW days, and I'm excited to see going forward. One of my boys up in Seattle, Cody Chun. I can't wait to see Cody with the belt and what that's going to do for the young boys and girls of his culture. Right. Same thing with Viva Van, is what she's doing with the people of the Vietnamese culture. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, Cody. I saw Cody on the. He trained at a Nightmare Factory. I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for some reason, when I saw him, I thought of Cody Rhodes, and I'm like, I gotta get that guy on this show. That guy is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get him before. By the time I look, I gotta talk to his agent about
Right.
a consultation, and yeah, we'll do lunch and so on. So yeah, Cody's definitely Cody Chun is definitely one that we're watching, and he's
Yeah.
looking impressive as well. But I'll tell you one
Mm-hmm.
thing though, that's good that you say your pastor's son, right, or grandson, right?
Grandson. Yeah. Grandson. Mm-hmm.
Actually get into wrestling. I'll tell you one thing: when that young man gets into wrestling, please, please, when he makes his debut, it would be an honor to have him on our show to speak about his career. Tell him all we need is just one match. Just one match. If
Absolutely.
you have him on this show, we'll talk about that one match and so on. Because, like I said, all we just need is one match, and we can talk off of that one match,
Excellent.
definitely. So I got a couple more questions before we wrap it up.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Um,
sure.
Second last question, man. I saw some clips on YouTube. You and Spencer Scott were duking it out from the Flaming Aces, and you had a
Mm-hmm.
couple of man. you're a tough guy in the ring, man. I would not want no smoke with you, not even on 420. If you had a barbecue and you're offering me a plate, I'd definitely take that kind of smoke.
There
You
you
know, I know.
go. There you go. Yeah.
Other than that, I don't want no smoke with you whatsoever. But you are putting it to these guys, man. I gotta ask you, man. So, who are some of your top five that you want to wrestle in the near future? They could be any from anywhere, like the Indies, AEW, WWE,
Man.
Japan,
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah. The as far as my top five wish list, and that's pretty much what it is. I've been so blessed, Remy, to work with who I've worked with. My first match was a battle royal, right? And in that battle royal, I got to work with Juicy Finale, right? I was eliminated by Juicy in that first match. We had a spot in that match, right? So that was a blessing. In my second match, I worked with a lot of the local talent. It was again another battle royal, right? Because I think it's a really good way to get new guys that are greenhorns into the process, right? And I got to work with a guy that's become a good friend of mine, Chris Brady. And I got to work with a couple of my partners. I got to work with Spencer. I got to work with Zay Perez, the Playboy. Both of them now in the Flaming Aces, killing it. Um, and I got to work with Doc Cleaver, who is now my tag team partner in PAL. But in my first singles match, I was able to check one of my wish list off. I got to work with Eddie Pearl, right? I got to work with one of my coaches. I got to work with Eddie Pearl. And then later that night, we left Portland. We drove up to Seattle. I got to wrestle Malcolm Flex, another one of my coaches and my mentors, right? And someone as I consider to be a brother. And we worked a good match there up at the Renaissance Fair in Washington. And then the next day, I got to work against Ricky Gibson, right? So I'm having these wonderful opportunities to just start my career off. But to answer your question concisely, the opportunity to work with any of uh, my current training partners would be a blessing. But if I could rub a magic lamp right and a genie would come out and would bless me with it, I would love the opportunity. Not in any particular order. On the grand stage to work with Tamatanga, which would be a huge opportunity for me. I had the chance to talk with him a little bit on several occasions, but I love his style. I've emulated some of his style and his moveset. So to work with Tamatanga would be great. Um, to work with, oh man, there's so many guys that are coming to mind. Minoru Suzuki would be really cool because I think that
Ooh,
would just be a complete slugfest. I
yeah,
got the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with him, but also to see him to work at Defy a month or so ago. Um, Levi Cooper, which fans might know as Tucker from Heavy Machinery in NXT and WWE. I would love to work with Levi. Levi is one of our associate trainers here, but I'd love the opportunity to work with him. I've had the chance to pick his brain, but I love the opportunity to get in the ring and work with him. Um, I've had the chance to work with Derek Shaw, again, another one of my training partners. See, I don't necessarily dream big because I haven't thought about that. I just think about what can I take from the people that I work with. So Tamatanga, Minoru Suzuki, Levi Cooper, Derek Shaw again. I mean, I would be remiss because I actually just told this brother this over the weekend. Um, Ethan HD, which is he's a veteran of the area. I haven't had the chance to work with Ethan before, and of course, my good friend Rebel Kell, uh, to be able to work in a match with her and be able to tell a story with her, I think would have some pretty cool moments for me. Um, but yeah, I think that would. I mean, that's not five technically, but outside of those guys and that gal, there's not too many others that I would kind of daydream and fantasize about how cool it would be. I mean, to work with Danica De La Rue, now Danica Diehard, would be a lot of fun because she's modified her wrestling approach to be a lot more savage, and I like that. I got to see her and Amira work a match at Defy where they just literally beat the hell out of each other. So I got a kick out of watching that. So yeah, that's about my short list of my wish tos.
oh, that's good. A lot of good names. And it's funny you mentioned Levi because I was like, I know Otis is doing good in WWE. He's doing the Alpha Academy tag team. But I wonder what happened to Tucker. And then
Mm-hmm.
that was I didn't say anything like he was still wrestling. I was like, well, I hope he's still wrestling. I mean, he was pretty good. It's it's too bad they let him go. I think they should have done more stuff with heavy
Sure.
machinery, but
Agreed. Agreed.
that's the business, I guess. But it's
Yeah.
great that he's still doing stuff there. He's still helping out and so on. And I wish him all the best. I hope he gets another shot. I hope he
Yeah.
gets another chance at
Yeah. The
glory.
guy, the guy, the guy is so talented and so business smart, and he has so much to give still. I honestly, my gut feeling is I don't think he'll be around here with us much longer. I think somebody's going to snatch him up, as they should. And the same thing with Ricky and Eddie and Flex. I mean, I don't think that they're going to be around too long before somebody says we have something special in those guys. And then they might be doing the old Black and Brave, have some trainers train the school that that they own and run while they're out there setting the world on fire on the majors. So that's kind of what the hope is for those brothers.
That's cool. I'm definitely hoping that happens as well. I best believe when Eddie and Ricky get signed, I'll be like, yeah, I remember those guys. I remember
Hmm.
when WCWC, killing it and taking names away. We actually had Ricky on our show on our first season.
Oh,
Um,
fine.
Started back in 20. Hopefully we can have him back on again real soon as a tag
Sure.
team and see how they're doing and so on. But that's really great. So my last question,
Yeah.
you have somebody that's around your same age, or heck, even my age. Like I said, I'm touching 40 in May.
Yeah.
Um, that's coming to say, hey man, I want to do what you do. What advice would you give that person? That's not we're not old. I don't care. We're not old. We're not. I wouldn't say we're old. I say we're just we're classic men, pretty much.
There you go. I like that.
We can
I
still
like
go.
that a
We can
lot.
still go.
I like
But
that a lot.
what advice would you give a fellow classic man who wants to do the same thing that you're doing in the ring?
Yeah. I would. That's a really good question. I would tell them exactly what Booker T told me. Why not you? And if you could come up with legitimate reasons why you can't do it, then don't. But if you can't come up with any legitimate reasons why you cannot do it, there's no point in not trying. Because Booker T told me, man, that day, he says, every day you're getting older. So every day you wait, you're getting older, right? The absolute least you could do is try. And then when it gets hard, you keep going back and watch what can happen. The way these opportunities have developed for me, I never even dreamed about, right? And I've dreamt about what my first match would look like. And even now, I mean, I worked on Saturday against Flex in a gauntlet match. And Friday night, I was dreaming about what that match is going to look like, right? I'll be working next weekend in a three-way tag down at PAL. I'll be dreaming about what that match is going to look like. But no one should stop your dreams, especially you, right? If you have the means to do it, if you have a school and resources around you, a school that's good and solid, Booker told me, go and find a good school, even if you have to drive far, at least try, because you don't want to get to the end of whatever it is, your life, your journey, however you want to call it, and say, I did everything I could dream of except this one little thing. Because I tell you, man, this has been one of the funnest chapters of my life that I've experienced so far. And I don't regret a single moment. I don't regret a single bump. I don't regret a single MRI. I don't regret a single concussion. I don't think. I probably can't remember, but you know what I'm saying. I don't regret. I don't regret any of it. I've made great connections, great friends, people that I consider lifelong friends, brothers and sisters. That those relationships are going to be around a lot longer than my time in the ring. However, God chooses to let that be in whatever capacity.
Yeah, that's all. That's great. So for those of you that are listening that are planning on getting into the ring, um, you just heard, you just got some advice. Somebody that's doing it and doing it on their own time,
Yeah,
and a bit of advice from one of the best, um, one of the leaders of the best wrestling schools in Texas, Booker T as well too. So he got
absolutely.
advice. So there you go. Take that, roll with it. And with that being said, King Naja, I gotta say thank you very much. It was an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you,
Really
bro.
appreciate it. Y'all keep doing great things over there in Oregon. I really appreciate y'all. Um, still keeping. I mean, like I said, the WCWC is down right now. Hopefully, they get back up. But seen a lot of great people. Um, come out of that place, like Hammerstone, Darren Corbin, like I said, the Midnight Heat, you know, and even Ethan HD. I remember
Yep.
seeing his. I remember seeing him there too. And then there was Clutch Casera. I forgot what the names were. They used to wear gold and black. I always said they make a good tag team against the Usos. Clutch
The
Casera.
the
Was it the business or the bonus?
the bonus boys.
Bonus boys.
The bonus boys. Yep.
A lot of great people. So um, I wish y'all nothing. I was just sorry that my co-host Kathy and Rob couldn't be here, but they had other things to do. But
Sure.
as guys, on behalf of the rest of our team, we wish you nothing but the best for your career. We hope you get
I
to
appreciate it.
and get a lot more opportunities and so on. We wish you nothing but the best in what you do. And if nobody has thanked you before, you're going to hear it from us for the first time. If they have thanked you before, I guess you're going to hear it from us. But thank you for all the matches and memories that you've given us and keep on giving us. We really and truly appreciate it as well.
It's
Um,
truly my pleasure, man. I appreciate the opportunity and the support, not just for me, but for independent wrestling across the board. Brothers and sisters are putting their lives on the line to entertain people, right? And so any support, it be it a boo or a yay or purchasing of a shirt or asking for an autograph or an 8x10, any of that stuff, it goes a long way. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for championing the cause of pro wrestling too.
no problem. With that being said, before we shut this show down, where
Mhm.
can fans on social media find his appearances, purchase King Naja merchandise, and where can bookers and
Yeah.
promoters when they want to book you for their shows?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So, on my Instagram is the best place to start. It's Hail, the underscore King underscore Naja, or I guess it would be going this way. Because I always tell Zay Perez, it's Playboy of the P and W. You have to do it the way the people are seeing it. So I get my hard time. But on my Instagram, you can follow us all at Oregon Pro Wrestling School on Instagram as well as on Facebook and Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. My friend referee Buddy Ruth asked me at least once a week, how come I don't have a Twitter? And I just say Machete don't tweet, so neither does Naja. But you can follow me on Instagram. Support wise, I have a link tree, and my link tree has all of my different shops, a direct shop, online shops, and that's Linktree/King Naja, all one word, KingNaja. And yeah, man, find me at any show. Always have merches, brand new hoodies. It's the new hoodie design right here with the melting cobra. So I'm always willing to meet fans, ship stuff out directly. And I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman in my nature. So looking for any opportunities to get merch into people's hands, stickers, buttons, keychains, all that stuff, baby onesies. You can find it here with us at Oregon Pro. So thank you for that opportunity too, for that little commercial.
Awesome. So y'all definitely heard the man. He has merchandise. He just gave y'all social media. Go ahead and give this man a follow. Cop some King merch, cop some King Naja merchandise. He has a lot of cool stuff. If you can't make the shows he's at, that's how you support indie
There
wrestling
we go.
is, some merch that they
Amen.
have so on. And that way when he gets signed by WB and AEW and somebody goes, I just got the new King Naja shirt from WB shop or AEW shop, you go like, man, sit down. I got his stuff from when he was in the
I,
Indies, man. I'm a real
yeah,
fan.
I
Always
got the
good.
OG stuff. There you go.
Yeah, it's always good to support somebody when they actually start are at the beginning of their journey. And if y'all think I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, well, guess what? This shirt here is an ugly duckling shirt. And who's in the ugly ducklings? Colby Corino, the son of Steve.
Yeah.
He's rumored to be having some big things coming his way. I'm not gonna say I use that word in all caps, rumor. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just saying
Right.
when big things happen for him, I could say, yeah, I got you right. So definitely support indie wrestling. That's where all your AEW and WWE superstars come from. But with that being said, we're about to shut this show down.
Dope.
Um, if those are want to follow me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at the Remy Blue. I'm on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue, and I'm our podcast also on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're also on Facebook with a Facebook group. We're on Spotify, and we're also on Teespring for
There
now.
you go.
Um, so Ringside Society merchandise. We have T-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, even coffee mugs for your favorite warm beverage. And we have different ones too. We have
That's it.
Valentine's Day apparel, and we also have the one for Mardi Gras for our good folks in Louisiana. We know y'all
Hey,
love a good Mardi Gras merch for y'all, so definitely check that out. All proceeds go back into keep the show afloat. They don't go back into our pockets. So trust me, everything goes back into keeping the show running. And last but not least, I just want to thank everybody tuning in live tonight. We really and truly appreciate it. We strive on being one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fan should and could listen to, and we will keep on doing that. To those of y'all that are gonna listen later on, we get a chance. Thank you very much in advance. And those y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away. Well, like myself at the Golden Corral, we're not going anywhere for a while. And I just want to let everybody know that we are very well with everybody and their grandparents and their parents of a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. We're the wrestling fans podcast,
right.
Ringside Society. And yeah, for I know I normally I got my friend Rob here that actually does this part, but
You're
now I'm
good, bro. You're doing great. You're doing great.
so I'm gonna say that right now. One time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, one time for the great school, Oregon Pro Wrestling, Ricky and Eddie and Malcolm. Y'all keep doing the great work. Y'all are churning out a lot of great people out of Oregon. And one time for the Golden Cobra King Naja with the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And with that being said, we'll be back next week with referee Brad Lee, who is also from the Oregon Pro Wrestling School. He'll be on there. But until then, we just want y'all to do 4 favors for us. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out.
That's
Peace.
it.